Welcome back to yet another Talking Lamar. In this gourmandizing episode, I'm talking about one of my very favorite subjects, food. Let's get to it.
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
Sorry, I forgot what I was talking about.
What are you talking about?
I am talking to you.
That's just what I was talking about.
It's Talking Lamar.
You know, food is a very different thing to very many different people. For some, it's like the fuel that runs our body. It gives us energy and it keeps us alive. I mean, it's a necessity. You have to have it. But for me, it is not just fuel. It's not just a way to stay alive. For me, food is one of the reasons to be alive, to experience all the different tastes and the textures and the smells and the flavors. And I also knew that most food could taste better, but for that to happen, I had to learn how to prepare it so that I could control just how good it could be. Now, my earliest recollection of food was eating mayonnaise sandwiches. Anybody else eat mayonnaise sandwiches?
Hell no, buddy. And I grew up in an abusive and neglectful environment.
I didn't either. Sorry.
God, I can remember being at my grandma's house because we lived in the yard of her big old house, and she'd make me a mayonnaise sandwich, and I'd put a little salt in it, give it a little bit of whatever. Sometimes I put mustard in it too. That was sort of a big deal. But I ate a lot of mayonnaise sandwiches. But when I was a kid, though, the only food that I could actually control was cereal because I could pick out my own cereal. My mama allowed me to get whatever cereal I wanted. But my cereal choice was based on what prize came in the box. Now, Max, I know that you had to be the same as me as far as looking at the cereal box.
I did the same thing. In fact, they had a cereal box that had on the back of it a record that you could play on your record player that was on the box. And it was a Jackson 5 record.
Oh my God. Man, y'all
That's
had money.
amazing.
Ain't no doubt. Y'all was shopping somewhere big time. You weren't at the Winn-Dixie. I go ahead and tell you.
Oh, no, we were getting name brand cereal. We were
yeah.
very uppity.
Max's dad worked for AT&T. Like they thought they were something special. Did you guys, as you got to be grown-ups, did you ever wonder why the cereal industry was so stupid and how they missed an opportunity? They were putting the toys and Corn Pops and Fruit Loops. If they'd have put like a yo-yo in a box of grape nuts, an entire generation of kids would be healthier today.
They made more money off of Fruit Loops than they did grape nuts.
Yeah.
They knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
They didn't care about our
That's
health.
right.
But they didn't, you would have chosen the grape. Even you, Lamar, as a boy, would have eaten grape nuts for a yo-yo, and it's
Oh,
true.
yeah. Oh, no, there's no doubt. I always had on the side of the box, they had this is a nutritious breakfast, a piece of toast with some butter on it, a glass of milk, and a bowl of their cereal. This was a part of a nutritious breakfast. What they didn't say was if you left off the cereal, you were still eating that same breakfast.
They acted like it was health food. There'd be contains, 10 important vitamins and minerals.
Oh, and minerals.
Riboflavin. They would brag about thiamine and riboflavin. But listen, you guys, I read not too long ago that healthy breakfast Lamar just described, they just made that up. There was no science behind that at all.
No.
They just made that up.
No. White bread and fake butter. There was no health food there. There was nothing.
Nothing.
But my mom, she had one rule. I could only get cereal. I could get any I wanted, but I could not get another box until that one. I had to eat that cereal. There was no loving the prize and hating the cereal. You had to know even if you didn't like the cereal, you had to be able to stomach it to get the prize because my mama wasn't going for, and she would not let me pour out the cereal to find the prize. I had to eat my way to the prize. So she was not wasting any money. I mean, that was not going to happen. She was not wasting any money.
Well, you could get the prize on the sly. I mean, wait till she's not in the room.
Hey, no, not with Doris.
Nobody.
This was a woman, let me remind you, Max, who was paying so much attention at the end of a long day, she had to lie on the couch and breathe into a paper bag. You think he was getting that prize on the sly? I don't think so.
Speaking of the whole nutritious thing, do y'all remember Roman meal bread?
Oh, yeah.
We never had it, but I remember the advertisements for it.
That was weight loss. It was for weight loss, okay? And their deal was if you eat Roman meal bread and you do a healthy diet and you exercise, you would lose weight. Even as a kid, when I read that, I thought, well, if you did that exercise thing and you eat a better meal, wouldn't you still lose weight without but they sold a ton of Roman meal bread on that. That was the first bread that was saying it was healthy. I remember that. I do remember that. But I was thinking about what made me think about all this is I got to thinking about my meals and the traditions. And I think everybody had certain food habits that were maybe central to your house, maybe central to where you lived or whatever. Not necessarily weird things, but very exact things. So like for us, we lived out in the country and we had a garden every year. We had a garden every year, never missed. I mean, we put vegetables and stuff up every year. And so our meals were vegetable heavy. And during the summertime, one of our, at least 3 days out of the week, we would have cream corn. I'm talking about Silver Queen white corn. Man, it was unbelievable. My mama made it all the time. We had at least 3 times a week. And one of my favorite meals was when we had the cream corn, fried okra, and diced tomatoes. And the way this thing worked is you get your plate, you put the fried okra down, then you would take the fresh tomato and chop it up, dice it up, put it on top of the okra. Then you spoon the cream corn over the top of that. And the combination of all those flavors on the fork at the same time, unbelievable.
My brother in Christ, I would knock you down right now to get to it. That sounds amazing. And because it was all homegrown from your garden, I know it was fresh and vibrant and sweet and so good.
Oh, yeah. And a little salt and pepper is ready to go. And then we had always had fresh cornbread with that. And we'd slice it open, fill it with what my young, naive mind thought was butter, but it was not. It was actually that oil water combination with the yellow food color and that whole. My mom had me thinking I'm eating butter. How did I not know? It would come in a tub, and it was either Blue Bonnet or I can't think of the other one.
Parquet.
Parquet. Yes.
That's the only time in your life your mom ever lied to you, Lamar, was when she gave you Parquet.
She did. And I love her, but I believe in all my heart, she did not realize the severity of the fraud that she was perpetrating on me with that fake butter. I just can't imagine that. But the other staple we had, and this is where the little ritual comes in, was mashed potatoes and gravy. But it was always served to me as a swimming pool. My mama would put a big dollop of potatoes in the pan in the plate, and then she would mash them down in the middle with a big tablespoon. Then she comes back and she would ladle the gravy to make the pool. So did y'all have anybody have this?
That. Oh yeah.
The swimming pool, man.
Right,
the swimming pool. I mean, I loved it. And sometimes it was not a pool. Sometimes it was a lake. And halfway through the meal, I would have the dam break on the lake. And the gravy would spill out over the broken dam, and it would go all over the English pea people, and they would all drown. And then I would eat the English pea people. Oh, yeah. And let me be specific. When I say English peas as a pea, they are virtually inedible, except for one brand of peas. Le Sueur brand premium, delicate, petite, sweet peas. You know what I'm talking about?
Frozen.
Those were
frozen and canned. They got them in the can too. They got them in the can.
Those were for rich people or Thanksgiving.
Dang right.
In my family.
Dang right. We had, I grew up my whole life eating Le Sueur peas, and then one day I went to a buddy's house or something, and they served food, and they had peas, and they were the same color as the Le Sueur peas. I put some on the plate, and oh my God, they were horrific. They were horrific. And I came home and I told my mama, I said, something's wrong with it. She goes, no, son. Those are not Le Sueur peas. She said, wherever you go, just don't eat peas. Just wait till you get home. This is, I love Le Sueur peas. They're
You know what I wonder, Lamar, if maybe she had to skimp on the butter budget in order to be able to give your family the high quality Le Sueur.
It might have been. But the other thing that the mashed potatoes were good for is you taking a fork full of mashed potatoes, and then you use that fork to pick up the Le Sueur peas or the field peas or Crowder peas or even speckled butter peas. Doesn't matter. But you pick them up. You know what I'm talking about, Max?
And then dunk them in the gravy pool.
Yes. And listen, I had forgotten. The whole reason we're talking about this right now, I had forgotten about this until Carla and I were eating lunch after church on Sunday. We're at the meat and vegetable place, and she had ordered baby lima beans and mashed potatoes. She's not a gravy person. And I got to be honest, somehow she hid that from me until we were married, because had I known she was not a gravy person, that'd have been tough. But so we're sitting there, and I'm talking to her, and I look down, and she takes a fork full of potatoes, and she dabs it into her lima beans and picks up 4 or 5 lima beans, and I'm like, wait. I said, we've been together for 20 years. I've never seen you do that. It reminded me. She goes, I always eat them that way. She said, I'm embarrassed about it, but I always eat them that way. And I had never, ever noticed her doing that. And that's what made me think about this anyway. I mean,
think you know a woman.
That's exactly, listen.
You're sleeping at night every night next to a woman that dips her mashed potatoes in lima beans.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I know that hurt.
Here's another favorite meal that I had. It was with fresh. My mom would make a pan of biscuits, fresh homemade biscuits, and then she would get, because we had tomato plants everywhere, so she'd get a tomato and she'd slice the tomato. And my mom always peeled the tomato before she sliced it. To this day, if I'm eating a tomato, I peel the tomato. I'm used to that. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's okay to eat the peel, but my mom always peeled it. And
God, you're spoiled and fancy. Your mama peeled every tomato you ever ate?
Every tomato. Never had a tomato with the peel on it. And so she sliced the tomato, then she would slice some onion and set the salt and pepper on the table and a jar of Duke's mayonnaise. And you would split open the biscuit. You'd put mayonnaise on each side of, each piece of the biscuit. Then you'd lay the tomato down. Then you would put the onion on it, salt and pepper, and cap it on. That would be dinner, and it was one of the greatest meals ever.
Yeah, I do.
Onion, tomato, and mayonnaise on a biscuit. Oh my gosh, it's unbelievable.
I did not know about a tomato sandwich till I moved to the South, and now I don't understand how I lived without it. But Lamar, I have to tell you, because I think this is what I'm about to describe as something you enjoy eating right now as a fully grown man. So a few weeks ago when I had COVID and was in quarantine, Kevin would come down several times during the day, stand in the doorway and ask me what I thought I might feel like eating, because I had no appetite. And every time I would say, just some watermelon, I don't feel like eating. And he was like, you have to eat. He said, how about if I make you a Duke's mayonnaise and banana sandwich?
Oh, wow.
I called the police and said, my husband is trying to kill me. Please send a car.
God, that's, oh man, that would be a great sandwich.
Please explain the appeal of a mayonnaise and banana Sammy on white
how
bread,
else can you eat a banana without mayonnaise on it? I mean, who?
Like Magilla the gorilla, by peeling it and putting it in my mouth. That's how I eat it.
Listen. The only thing he's missing is one side of the red's mayonnaise and the other side's peanut butter with the bananas between it. Oh my God.
That's what Elvis used to eat.
It's the greatest. It is the greatest. It really is. It really is. But
the banana mayonnaise combo, like tangy and sweet banana and soft doughy white bread, like really seriously, because I'll try it if you're that
Oh no,
convinced.
there's no other way. There's no other way.
I will point out that Elvis died at the age of 42 eating peanut butter, banana, and white bread sandwiches. Of course, there were the narcotics too.
Yeah,
but
that oxycodone was probably not helping him any. But I look back on all these meals, and they all had all of these meals, no matter what they were, had one side in common: fatback and streak of lean. Fatback and streak of lean with
like my
every
husband.
every meal. I mean, it was a standard. It was a standard, and I think once you get used to it,
Even the very, because you've been describing like eating out of your garden in the summertime, just all these vegetables, and it just sounds so healthy and amazing. Are you telling me that with the okra and the cream corn and the tomatoes, Doris was sneaking in something called streak olean?
yeah. And well, you'd get two different ones. Fatback, you had fatback, and then you had streak of lean. The fatback was its pure fat. I mean, it was just pure fat was rendered, but the streak of lean had a streak of lean pork in it. And that was always on the side, always.
What is the appeal of a chunk of fat? I mean, you cook with butter or oil or fat, I guess. But what was the appeal of eating a chunk of fat?
Are you telling me that? Well, all right, think about this. What makes bacon taste like it is the rendered fat. It's the rendered fat's where the flavor comes from. So this is a piece of fat that has been rendered, and it's crunchy and it sort of melts in your mouth when you eat it. I mean, it's very tasty.
Listen, at the risk of losing your respect and our very, very, very long and enduring friendship, if there's a real obvious piece of fat on my bacon, I eat around it and leave it on the plate.
Really?
I'm sorry. I hope you'll still take my calls.
Now listen. Now let me go ahead and say this. Now, if that fat that's on the bacon, if it's a piece of flaccid fat, if it's that, no.
Okay, you won't eat that either. Okay, thank you.
No. But it's got to be rendered. It's got to be rendered.
I don't want nothing flaccid in my mouth. Full stop. Much less a flaccid piece of diner bacon.
Wow, I can't believe I just heard that.
I totally understand. I see where you're coming from. I do. I'm thinking about when I'm thinking about doing this whole Talking Lamar. There's nothing really earth shattering about all this, but let's be honest. This is Talking Lamar, and I want to talk about food, so that's what we're doing.
Oh no. I love talking about food. I like looking at food and reading about food and watching TV shows about food and talking about food. Even if it's food that I myself don't really like to eat, I like to hear other people get all excited about. Like on the radio show not too long ago, you said that you had just eaten the most, and I quote, luxurious chicken livers of your life. Now, I don't want to eat a chicken liver, but the idea of a chicken's liver being a luxurious thing.
Not overcooked, not undercooked, lightly breaded, crispy to the taste. Oh my God, the texture was just unbelievably good. One of the best things Mom ever cooked for us was breakfast. It was, and to this day, breakfast is still possibly one of my favorite meals. I love breakfast. I do. And my mom would get up early, and she would take pork sausage, and and she made patties sometime, but other times instead of making patties, she would crumple it up and scramble it up in the pan and get it all cooked. And then she would add the eggs into the pan of sausage. That way, every bite of scrambled eggs you got had sausage in it. And it was so good. And then sometimes she would take that scrambled sausage and she would put it in the waffle batter. And then she would make waffles. And the waffles, every bite of the waffle would contain a little bite of sausage.
Your mama, what a cook. What a Southern home cook.
Oh, yeah.
And let me just say, for anyone listening that might be like, well, that was a better America when women stayed in the kitchen. Bitches, sit down, because Doris Richardson left that home every day and also went to work.
Yeah, she had a full-time job on top of that. Ain't no doubt.
And then came home, breathed in and out of the paper bag for a while, and then got up and made Lamar sausage waffles. That woman worked.
But we always had fresh biscuits and butter and sorghum syrup with I don't care what she cooked for breakfast. That was always there on the side.
Can you explain sorghum syrup? Because I've read about it in books, and I think I've even seen it at the general store. But what is sorghum syrup, and what does it taste like?
Well, it's a lot like molasses, but not quite as stout as molasses. I mean, it's a syrupy jelly. I can't really tell you. We've just always bought it, and it's always been there. And you pour it in the plate, and then you put the butter or margarine, whatever, and then you whip it with your fork and get it all mixed up, and then you drag your biscuit through it, and oh, buddy, it was good.
We just have to ask Max now.
Yes,
Max, are you feeling very sad as you reflect on your Del Monte canned fruit cocktail childhood?
Chungking Chinese food.
Yeah.
Like this is like listening to somebody read you a novel. So many people hearing this are like, yeah, I think I've read that in a book somewhere. But to actually have experienced it is so cool.
Listen, on special occasions, or like maybe on a Sunday morning or whatever, she would bring out the king of breakfast meats, country ham. And we kept a bone-in, salt-cured country ham wrapped in a cotton sack hanging in our attic from a nail.
Wow!
And so Mama would send me up to the attic to bring down the ham, and she would unwrap it, and she would slice it, wrap it back up. I'd take it back up and hang it on the nail. And she would trim the fat off of the ham and render it separate in the pan. And then she would cook the eggs and the grits, and then she would make a bowl of red-eye gravy. And
that's got coffee in it, right? Red-eye gravy is the one that has
take,
coffee in it.
Yeah, you take the drippings in the pan. You take the drippings in the pan, and you pour stout black coffee in it, and render it around, and then pour it in a bowl.
But it's not viscous, right? I mean, it's pretty watery. The red-eye gravy.
Yeah, it is. The coffee. Yeah, the coffee makes it watery. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it does. And so you can take that and you can pour the red-eye gravy over your biscuit if you want to. But the best way is to take some brown sugar and put a little brown sugar in the plate, and then put the red-eye gravy over the brown sugar and stir it up and get it into a consistency of sort of like a jam type thing. Put that on a biscuit. It changed your life. I mean, it'll change
country
your
ham.
life.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Country ham for all you city folks is really salty.
Yes.
My husband loves it. My youngest daughter loves it. It is salty. But Lamar, the only time I've ever heard of folks having a ham hanging from a hook in the attic was Laura Ingalls Wilder and Little House on the Prairie, and effective immediately, your new name is Lil Bit. Because I've never known anybody in real life who grew up that way. That's so interesting. Max, have you ever known anyone who had that?
No.
See, and it's salt cured, so it just hangs up there in the top of the house, and nothing bothers it. I mean, it don't go bad, and you can still buy it. You can still buy it that way.
Is Doc with us, or is he off doing something else? Doc, are you here?
I'm here.
Doc, Lamar's colorful tale of having a ham hanging from a hook in the attic. Did you know anybody growing up that had this amazing food experience?
No, Lamar, sounds like you're the only person who is culinarily unique in that way.
It sounds like something from the 1800s, doesn't it?
It does.
Because that's what Civil War. It's one of the things that Civil War soldiers ate because the meat wouldn't go bad.
Everybody up and down our road had a ham hanging up. I mean, that was the deal. Yeah, everybody had a ham hanging up. I'm shocked.
So when Max says this sounds like something from the 1800s, but for Lamar's mom and dad, and especially probably your mom, that was a tradition that was handed forward in her
Oh, yeah.
family. And so that was just a
Yes.
given. Lamar,
Yeah.
little bit, you are our link to the past.
Well, I mean, I got a lot. I watched my mom do a lot of cooking. I mean, I did, and it didn't take me long to, figure out that she went to a lot of trouble, and I go to a lot of trouble. I mean, I do. It drives Carla crazy, but I have definite rules. I have definite rules about food. Number one, microwave. No, unless you're trying to heat some water or something. I don't even know why you got it in the kitchen. Never heat food in it. Never do nothing. I don't do nothing with it because you cook with heat. So then if you're going to reheat, you need to reheat with heat. That's what the oven's for. I mean, you don't have to put it at 350, but if you're trying to heat something up, put it in the oven. That way it comes out like it's supposed to come out. It's not coming out all whatever.
I
Now,
agree with you, especially pizza. Oh my God. Pizza, I mean, any pizza, you could pick up pizza off the road and it's probably okay, but pizza heated in the microwave is so soggy and
I understand
gross.
an air fryer is the best way to do that with pizza. I haven't tried it. I don't have one.
I could see that. I mean, I could, but just the microwave that's just not happening. Now, if you're making a sandwich, if there is meat on a sandwich, and especially if that sandwich has meat and cheese, it should be grilled in a pan. You can use butter, you can use mayonnaise, it doesn't matter, but you need to toast it, grill it. You need to get a little bit of a crust on that bread. And then before you eat it, you put it in a 250-degree oven for just a few minutes because that cheese don't necessarily melt when you toast the bread in the pan. You put it in the oven and let that cheese melt. Because if you're making any kind of sandwich, you should have at least 2 different kinds of cheese, and you should have multiple pieces of cheese so that it's all going to melt in there.
What kind of cheese?
Oh, baby Swiss, sharp cheddar. I mean, it doesn't matter. Cheese is cheese is cheese. I like baby Swiss on most sandwiches, though, because I think it's really good.
So let me ask you this, because I know your beautiful bride, and I know that her idea of cooking is if it takes more than 3 ingredients and 3 steps, Lamar's going to be handling it, right?
It drives her. No, yeah, listen. My smoking hot wife, Carl, it drives her crazy. She sits on the stool with a glass of wine, watching me cook, and she does have that standard rule: if there's more than 4 ingredients, she's out. And she's constantly telling me, why are you going to all of that trouble? Especially when I'm chopping stuff up. I'm very meticulous on chopping up stuff. And my reply to her is always the same. Do not complain with your mouth full, okay? Because you're going to eat it when I get through. So don't be complaining. I mean, don't do it. But
it's got to be hard to be patient, though, because when you make a sandwich, I mean, there's Irish butter and bacon and you're sauteing and you're melting and you're toasting in the 250-degree oven. Like she must be drooling waiting, right?
Well, she winds up, I make her sandwich because she didn't want all that. I just make her a sandwich and I hand it to her and she says, is yours ready? And I go, of course it's not ready. So she goes ahead and eats while I'm finishing mine up. I mean, it's just, yeah, we hardly ever eat a sandwich together because hers is ready right off the bat, but mine's not. But there's just different things. Like, all right, if I don't care what you're cooking, whatever dish you're cooking, just look to see, is there a way to incorporate just a touch of butter? Because if there is, go ahead and drop it in there. You can't go wrong, whether it's beans or greens or chili or eggs. The very last, listen, the last thing you put on a steak when it comes off to let it rest is a big chunk of Kerrygold butter. It is the greatest ingredient ever. I put it in everything we cook. Everything.
I'm so thankful every day you wake up and draw a fresh breath because it's a wonder.
Lamar and I have talked about this with the butter. And when I do a steak like a fillet in an iron skillet, it gets butter. There's butter, and I saute it with butter and everything else, and everybody goes, "Oh, that tastes so good!" And the reason it tastes so good,
it's simple.
Butter.
It's very simple. Listen, if I'm cooking green beans, there's butter. If I don't care what I'm cooking, there's butter in there. It's going to be butter in there because, I mean, I'm sorry, it's always makes everything taste better. It does. It does.
Lamar, is there any world like you were really born? You've had, such an interesting life. You were really born for show business, but is there any world where you could have seen yourself in culinary school? Because that's another path I think you really could have chased.
I would love to. I would still love to go. I would still love to go because there's so much stuff that I watch on TV and stuff that I really don't. I don't know how to do.
Sheri,
I know how to do everything in my world. I know how to do everything in my world.
He could have combined the two.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You would have slayed on the Food Network for sure.
Yeah.
And that's, what? It's not too late. I'm a big believer in other people's daydreams and fantasies coming true.
Well, I'm just to shut this down, but I'm going to leave everybody with one thing to remember. There is a best way to eat everything. Yep, it takes a little bit of extra time. Sometimes it's a lot of trouble. But the way you eat anything is the way you eat everything. So don't settle. That's what I say. Now that's going to wrap it up for a peek in my kitchen and my food obsession. Thank you for taking that time out of your day to listen to us. We've had so much fun. Hope you did. There's always more to come, so don't stop now. You know I hate a quitter. Join us for the next episode of Talking Lamar. We don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be good. We'd love to hear any questions or comments or suggestions. You can email. You can go to the Bob and Sheri app, look down at the bottom, click on the microphone and start talking. You can also call 844-52-SHERI, SHERI, and leave a message. Until then,